When I started making this piece, I used a piece of carpet that had a pattern in it, and I took a chance and actually mimicked the pattern. And I just went along the lines of this rather geometric pattern. But then after I was done, I wasn't really happy with that. It seemed imposed. My education was a very late modernist formal education. And as a person growing up in a world where there didn't seem to be a lot of room for me, I was doing a lot of things by negation. Not doing this because of that, not doing this because of that. I didn't want to reference a certain artist. I didn't want to reference a certain type of art. And much of my work for many, many years has been about eliminating the object. In the process of taking it off, what I ended up with was all this scrap. And that's what I'm putting back on in another way. I'm actually attempting to take away as much as I feel like I have to. It's not really a very easily explained love. Okay, I need to get a couple of other tools here. Yeah, you got to see my other tools. I got involved with textile in the early 90s, and I started introducing it into sculptures. I started using fabric as my primary medium, and I altered it in ways that opened up possibilities for somebody to have a response. At the end of the 90s is when I started using the staples. Staples were something that could be a drawing tool, almost like repetitive cross-hatching, mark making. Sometimes it glitters if it's lit, and then sometimes it's dark and a little bit menacing. This particular one, it does not have any fabric in it right now. It's more really just finding a relationship between the blotchy markings on the bark and the metal of the staple. A lot of what motivated me in a lot of this early work was this kind of attraction, repulsion I felt to the materials I was using. I was choosing things that were considered tacky. A lot of stuff that my anthropologist mother, who loved pre-Columbian art, would not have allowed in our home. So for me, it was a challenge to make something that I felt was truly beautiful out of something that originated as truly ugly. And carpet is a design by designers and designed to become obsolete. So they kind of tell us a lot about the time and place that they were made and are embedded with information. You almost can feel the expansion that took place while this was growing. I really wanted to see what would happen if I just embedded the color between fissures in the bark that look a little bit like drought-caused cracking. And this blanket is a blanket that contains all of these colors right in it. It's a little bit of a psychedelic blanket that I got in Australia a few years ago. I've always loved trees, actually. And I was working in Bethany, Connecticut, where I had a beautiful studio in the woods. And so I selected from amongst them ones that I thought had some interesting qualities and were not sort of as stereotypically like firewood looking. And I applied this process that I had used so many times in other places of stapling fabric to a surface to them. When you're taking away as much as you're putting down, and when the form of something is as much about disintegration as about making, when does that process stop? One of the things I needed to overcome as a developing artist had to do with the idea of perfection, and that there is an absolute right way to resolve a piece, and that if I don't find it, I will have failed. And in fact, you know, every piece I make has some merit and some things that I then would like to improve on. I think that's the way most art is. Every now and then a piece hits it, like more than another piece, but embracing the lack of resolution and that each piece is a step in a journey toward, you know, some completely undefined destination is what makes work interesting.